Good evening. I'm going to demonstrate an idea that came to me in a dream last night, and I've gone ahead and tried several different prototypes to see how this may work to try to help the survival of the honeybee, especially during extremely cold winters that we see here typically in Michigan. What I've got here is a normal deep hive, and what I've built is a 2.5-inch deep box. Basically, it's got a center frame in the middle, and I've stapled a breathable cloth material onto it, and then I went ahead and put in a plate that's going to be for a structure, and that's just put on top with the holes cut through the material. And basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give an area inside the hive where the bees can have extra food during the winter, and we will have the ability to continue adding food to this hive without actually really affecting the bees at all. This idea and this prototype that I worked on is going to help alleviate some of the moisture issues that we see in beehives. It's going to help to hold the heat into the hive. It's going to be better ventilation. It's going to help the bees during severe cold. And as I said before, we're going to be able to continuously feed the bees without actually opening up the hive to the compartments where the bees will be at. So basically what I've got is a couple trays. These are not the right trays yet. I ideally would like to find a tray that's 2 inches deep, 4 inches wide, and then 12 inches long, so that it'll go across the entire side to side of the frames. That way, wherever the bees are in the hive, they'll be able to simply come up to the top, and the tray of food will be right there for them. So, as you saw here, we put a divider, which is part of our support structure, and so I have to space these trays in a way so that that spacer will go right in between them. And so this is going to get set down onto the hive like so. Let me straighten it out a little bit. And so what we basically have now is a tray on either side of that divider. The front tray will be used for sugar. The back tray will be used for honey. And then you can also see in this, I put in a small hole which gives a top entrance for the bees to be able to come in and out. It gives another hole for a little bit more ventilation, and you know, the idea also is that if the bottom hole gets plugged with a bunch of dead bees, they still have access to be able to get in and out of the hive. So what I also have now is two 2-inch thin wall PVC pipe, and I've put in a bunch of slits on the end, and that's how we're going to be able to deliver the honey and the sugar into the hive. So these will go right down into here, one into the tray in the front, one into the tray in the back, so it looks sort of like that. And so we're going to be able to pour sugar down into here, and the sugar is going to run out of those holes and be able to continuously feed the bees. And we'll be able to fill the sugar right up to here, and it will just keep going down as the bees take it. This one will be for the honey, and you're going to be able to look down and see how much honey you've got and be able to fill up to where those lines are, and then that way you'll know that the tray is full. So that's a little bit how that is. Now, the whole idea of this breathable cloth is I started to come up with an idea of creating an attic, and I've seen this before on other YouTube videos, so I'm kind of incorporating a lot of ideas into this idea. And so I also didn't want to just keep building a whole bunch of boxes, so I'm using actually a medium super, like you would for frames, and for the winter we're going to use this actually as our attic. And so these tubes here are just a little bit below the top of the medium super. And I'm going to add one more tube in here, which is going to be for our ventilation. I'm going to just set it a little off to one side there. And since that is a breathable material, we're going to actually have air that's going to be able to pass up and out. So it's going to increase our ventilation. The other thing I've done is put a few little bumpers on the corners, and I'll explain that a little bit later as to why that is. Now what I've got is a whole bunch of wood shavings. And I'm going to make a mess here because I'm trying to do this one-handed, but basically we don't want it to go down into the holes, but we want to be able to fill this entire box up to the top of these tubes. So we're going to carry that up to here, and that's going to give us about 6 inches of insulation up in the attic, and that also is going to be used to draw out the moisture. The moisture is going to get caught into this wood chips and is going to help to keep the bees dry. The last part of this is a way to try to warm the hive a little bit, and this hasn't been perfected yet, but I've come up with a little bulb, little candelabra bulb, and this is a little 7-watt bulb. I tried a 15-watt and I felt it was going to be too much heat, so I've made it so that the side that's got the honey, since it's going to flow down, this is going to actually go right over and cap, and I put a little stopper here so that the bulb won't actually drop into the honey, but it's going to actually allow a little bit of heat to enter into the hive to try to help keep the bees just a little warmer during those, sub-zero temperatures that sometimes we see. So if you can envision this box now and everything filled with wood chips, that basically would be the arrangement to try to help our bees survive. The last part is our inner cover, and basically we will feed the cord up through here and then out through the little hole, but for the purpose here I'm just going to drop this on top. And the whole idea also of these little spacers was to give us just a little bit of ventilation, so that we have an attic that cold air can go across and be able to dry out those wood chips. But all the heat and everything should be held down into the bottom. And the beauty here is that you still put your outer cover on, but if all of a sudden you want to go out and check on the bees, you pull off your covers, you'll be able to look down in here, see how the sugar supply is, see how the honey is, and be able to add to both of these without actually interfering with the bees. So that's my idea. I think all of these things are going to try to help out the bees and try to resolve some of our issues that we have with beehives during the winter. Thank you.